Hello, everybody. This is my presentation for our final assignment. It is on rare earth elements in Australia. So, a little bit about our company. In today's industry, our company is going to take a leap of faith and implement new technologies and explore new areas to ensure success. We are aware that these methods could result in failure, but with risk comes reward. Tested in true grounds would be preferred, as we do not want to commit time, money, and resources in a location that does not yield a sufficient amount of product. Our company is built off the purpose of being the most environmentally friendly mining corporation in the industry, and with the implementation of our new renewable energy run machinery and the transition into all electric heavy equipment, we are ready to give the mining industry the name it deserves. All parties will be satisfied when our operations are present, and they will be considerable compensation and agreements will be held if not. So the resource for mining is rare earth elements, and the location is Australia. So a bit about rare earth elements and the industry. Rare earth elements will always be utilized in a variety of different markets and applications. 14 million tons of REEs are mined alone in Canada throughout 2021. Despite their name, rare earth elements are fairly plentiful within the Earth's crust. They just don't appear in very large quantities at once. Globally, China leads the industry by far, containing 35% of the world's reserves, followed by Vietnam and then Brazil. Rare earth metals are commonly mined with traditional open pit mining techniques, which we will be utilizing as well, and then collected for transportation, then taken to a processing facility. China, being the dominant world producer, comes as a threat because, due to the fact that they have almost control of all the production, if they do not export their products and shut it off, the entire world's supply from REEs will be affected. Location and opportunities. Australia produces around 7% of the world's REEs and is responsible for 4.1 million metric tons of reserve rare earth metals. Given that there are only 2 active mines in the entire country, many potential sites remain untapped. Australia's mining industry operates under a state territory ownership, meaning that the mineral rights do not belong to the landowner or the investor. Each and every action must be significantly reviewed and passed by the state territory legislation, giving the country a close, and more about the location, since it's close to the equator, seasons remain relatively warm. Therefore, there's no need for cold weather preparations. But on the other hand, a large supply of water, air-conditioned units will be needed. But through solar electricity and the sun's concentration in that country, like I mentioned, is close to the equator, we should be able to attain that quite easily. So opportunities and setbacks of the location. Many opportunities are present throughout the selection made. Australia has a lot of potential as the surface has only been yet scratched in the mining industry's eyes. Additionally, there's already mining operations in motion in some areas, making the exploration segment of our venture a little less stress-inducing, as we can use our mistakes and findings as guidance. As for the strict regulations, it's really our biggest concern, but we'll work diligently with the State Territory Commission to ensure our cooperation of both parties and that we're both satisfied. We do not see this as a challenge, but rather as a pathway to find a new future for mining. Our mining method will be open pit mining. Rare earth elements can be found in both primary and secondary deposits in Australia. There is a larger opportunity for primary deposits, as there are more potential ore deposits reported. The extraction method utilized would be blasting, which is associated with open pit mining. Setting up machinery to recover the blasted rock, to transport the rock to the sorting facility and sifting facility. Metals are submerged into solvent that separates useful minerals from the waste. This is all being done on site. So this is a little bit of statistic for you. Yale Environment 360 reports severely damaged surface vegetation caused soil erosion, pollution, and acidification, and reduction or even elimination of food output. These are just some of the potential risks that come with the open pit mining of REEs, so we have to account for those. As for economic implications, Australia is a first world country, and its legislature ensures the fair treatment of its workers and environment. I chose to mine primary deposits as the profit margin is greater and requires a larger amount of skilled workers, which can be found in Australia, therefore increasing the employment rate of the country. Most of the mining would take place in southern Australia, where 60% of the country's ore deposits lie. Processing locally. The local environment regulations are much more strict in our local area than if we were to process our metals offshore. Therefore, for simplicity's sake, it would be a more viable option to use an offshore location to process our elements. Additionally, if it was our goal to make profits, highest profits possible, we want to process our resources offshore, as the labor and rates would be much more inexpensive. Controversially, if we're locally processed, local communities and individuals make it difficult for us to operate efficiently. Residents will not like the large smokestacks and high traffic roadways. It is not ethical to ship our resources off to other nations to reap the consequences. Therefore, it is our best interest to process our own REEs in our own country. Australia has given us the opportunity to mine such materials, and that is where all products of extraction and refinement should remain. In terms of ethical mining is and will always be the main focus of our operations. Too many industries include individuals that only aspire to make the most amount of money possible, and that is the reason why the earth is dying. We are not respecting the beautiful tools this world has given us, and the least we can do is follow through with safe and ethical mining practices. We continue to work towards these aspirations even as we begin the closure of our mine, ensuring the land is used and returned to its natural state where wildlife and plant life may flourish. Waste products will either be implemented into the landscape or trucked off where it will be utilized. There are many different environmentally friendly methods of ecosystem reconstructing, but it begins with putting the environment and communities surrounding the mine first. And the results we obtained, this has to do with the game in section stage 3, I believe. The good news is we will work with local population and under environmental regulations in our country to process your ore. This means that you will likely be mining your ore in the most responsible way. You get to have control over your mineral and will not be at the mercy of other nations' choices. Bad news, the cost of the product will likely be higher than it would be if you were to ship it offshore. You do not operate with the niche market, and that is likely to make up for some of your loss. Profit potential, you get to operate within a niche market, and that is likely to make up for some of your loss associated with adhering to stricter environmental regulations. The cost of your product is likely to be higher than it would be if you were to ship it offshore. Risk factor, you increase your processing costs and take a gamble on making up your losses through operating within a niche market. Environmental and societal impacts, since you're adhering with environmental regulations, this is a good point, in your country, to process your ore, you're likely to be mining the ore in the most responsible way. So this is just a bit about mining rare earth elements in Australia. Thank you for your time.